Have you been through a breakup and you're not sure what to do next? Or perhaps you are unsure of what it looks like to be a 10 out of 10 man and how that's going to affect you?
Or maybe you're in a romantic relationship and your partner just wants to invite their platonic friends into everything. Or maybe you've had an 800-hour video game save file being deleted by your partner.
If this sounds of interest to you, then you better stick around because Jeremy and I are going to talk about it, give you our advice, and hopefully end up with something interesting to say. Welcome back to the Just Men podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Byron. I'm joined by
Jeremy. I'm back.
Jeremy. It's always Jeremy. I'm glad you're back because I couldn't do it with anyone but you. But today, Jeremy, we're going back down the Reddit rabbit hole. You know why we're doing this, Jeremy?
Why are we doing this, Byron? Tell me.
Because real people have real problems. Right? And we need to explore it with you so that you can avoid these problems or learn from them. Who knows?
Learn from them, that's right. We're not just making up stories just from our own experience. Like, Jeremy, we've talked about that before. Byron, we've heard that story before. No, we're going to go to Reddit. We're going to go find these real stories by real people. And we're going to learn from them. So let's learn together.
We sure are. And you know what, guys? We really appreciate you being on this journey with us. We hope you find a lot of value in everything that we do. Ultimately, you can follow us on our social media, but we do have our Patreon, small little plug. For the cost of a coffee per month, you help us keep this podcast going, and we really appreciate it when you're there. But that's enough of the plug, Jeremy. Let's just smack right into it.
Let's dive in. What do we got?
Let's get started. All right. So, you know what, actually? I always start with these stories. I want to hear. I know you've got something cooked up.
You go first, because I vividly remember your first one, and my story is going to tie into it pretty well. So I want to hear what you've got.
All right. Well, okay. So the first place that I wanted to start with is, and this is something that we're all going to come across at least once in our life, is the question of men who got dumped by a woman. What have you learned? And you know what? It's actually fascinating that some people take the mindset of what can I take away from an experience like this?
Yep.
And others just get lost down the rabbit hole of, oh, woe is me, my life is shit and I miss my girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever. But these guys really have taken the time to actually learn something from the experience. So, Jeremy, if you had to guess as to what the biggest learnings are, what would your first guess be in under 50 words?
Oh, so there's actually like a ranked poll opinion that they've set up there of things, or?
Well, it's been ranked by the response upvotes.
Oh, interesting.
So they've self-selected a little bit as to which ones are the most impactful for people.
Okay, I would believe, to me, the biggest thing that you'd ever learn from a breakup is learning to take care of yourself and learning to put yourself first. Does that rank at all?
I think it sort of does. So let me give you the first response that's there.
Yeah.
Someone said, I learned that after I picked up the pieces and stopped feeling sorry for myself, my life got better each time. That's after a breakup.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to check what the reply says. Someone just said this. What a response. That's how men respond. But
of course.
The next one says, after a breakup, no contact, full stop. Remove anything in your life that's a reminder of her. The less you see or interact with her, the sooner you'll be able to detach. Easier said than done, but it always works. And this got a stupid amount of upvotes. And the original poster actually said that they're already doing this. But he said, do you think I should block as well? This way I get rid of the secret hope she messages me. So I'm guessing they're kind of holding on to. Is this a natural thing after you get dumped? You kind of maybe they'll
This is interesting, Byron, because I think it would really depend on the emotional attachment. Because we're talking specifically about being dumped. So in this case, we're assuming it's a guy as the person getting dumped. It's a guy. Yeah, yes, and dumped. The girl being the person who's dumping the partner. Now, from experience, I know you've kind of had mutual breakups. I have had a breakup in which it was mutual, but I think I was still emotionally attached to some degree and they weren't. So in a way, I can relate a little bit. I think it's interesting because I had, for necessity and financial purposes, had to live with my ex-partner for at least another 6 to 12 months afterwards. So it did make that healing process a bit slower. I do think a lot of distance would have definitely helped. I think there was a part of my brain which was like, oh, yeah, possibly, perhaps. I mean, it was mutual because it ended for a reason. And I think it was just kind of coming to terms with that. And something that actually helped, as cold as you might call it, was I said to them, we had a small conversation about something at some point in time, and I said, look, there's some part, I know it's dumb, I know it's stupid, but there's some small, absolutely tiny part of my brain which is kind of thinking, perhaps, we can get back and it'll work out. And she quite bluntly said to me, like, look, I want you to get that thought out of your brain because it's not going to happen. Just straight up. And
Cue the Taylor Swift song, right?
Yeah.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together.
And I think something that kind of, again, it was cold, but it helped me kind of realize is, when, I don't know, if you're listening and you've had this before, when you've seen someone, you've been close before, you've been intimate, you kind of know everything about them, but then maybe now the way that they treat you is very cold, is very distant. They don't want anything to do with you. They don't want that closeness. That, as much as it hurts, it helped. It helped a lot because I'm like, look, this isn't the person that I was with at one point in time. It's different. It's changed. And that kind of has to kind of get cemented into your brain. Like, you're in love with the idea of something that used to exist. Just it doesn't.
And it no longer does.
And it no longer does. So, at some point in time, look, I think there's a whole breakup thing you can go through of how you can kind of get back on, get on with your life basically, and how you can really thrive after a breakup. But that's a whole discussion, really.
Yes, and funnily enough, the next upvoted comment is breakups are one of the best times to improve yourself. You have an untapped well of motivation to do whatever you need to do to get better. Mm-hmm. So cut 100% contact, block her on everything, delete all pics and videos of her on all your devices and accounts. If you might run into her at a coffee place or store, change your routine so you won't. The feelings of love have the same effect on your brain that drugs do. If you take another hit, you will relapse. It gets easier over time. Focus and invest on yourself. I mean, that's it's kind of the extreme version of what we're just talking about.
Yeah, it is.
The first part was really nice. Improve yourself, but yeah.
It's interesting because, again, Byron, during that period, we obviously could not avoid each other. We lived under the same roof. We had to have contact in some way, shape, or form. So I know for a fact you're an attractive young lady. If you want to find a new guy, you could probably find a new guy pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
And the only rule that we did have was like, look, you go see people, you don't need my permission, but just don't bring them back here when you know that I'm still here. And that was a mutual understanding. And so lo and behold, that happened, but there were times which she kind of went out and then she came back, she had like hickeys all over her neck and all this kind of thing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. See ya. So you're right in that it's like, it definitely helps you to work on yourself, even if it's, forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone or forcing yourself to do stuff that's like a new routine. It's untapped motivation is a good descriptor of things that you can do to help yourself.
Yeah, so that's something you can take away from a failed relationship, lads. But the last one that I'll touch on from this, because a lot of them are around the same theme of have zero contact. Right?
Yeah.
It seems to be overwhelmingly the lesson that most guys want to pass on to other guys is just completely cut ties, which I get. And then, like you said, there's different variations and forms of what that can look like depending on circumstance and that sort of stuff. But this one from Smack of the Gods, and I'd had to read his name because I think it's pretty funny. I've learned something new from every failed relationship, and every serious relationship that has ended has led to something new and good in my life.
Cool.
Seriously, literally every time I've gone through a breakup, I've used the desire to dissociate as fuel to funnel all my time and energy into something new. I got a cat against my parents' wishes, started keeping frogs, learned the bass guitar, went to law school, learned how to box, took vocal lessons, the list goes on. That said, there's one thing I learned way later that I wish I had, because the lesson wouldn't stick until it happened over and over and over again. This guy's been through it, man.
Yeah.
But that this isn't the end. She wasn't the one. There will be another one. The feelings I felt in my last relationship are not gone. They're just waiting for someone new. For me, it had to happen to me repeatedly because every time it felt like that was the one, and I would wallow for months or years just convinced that, but she was different. But when it happens enough, the reality of those facts sink in and it becomes a lot easier to move on. Funnel yourself into your interests, hit the gym, study nutrition, get your revenge body on, whatever. Don't let it get you down. Be confident that the next one is on her way.
That's poetic. That's poetic.
That is really nice. Yeah.
What did he say? It was like, this isn't the one. It's just saving.
Yeah, the feelings aren't gone.
The feelings
aren't gone. They're just waiting for the next person.
Waiting for the next person.
Or my person, you know?
It's interesting. I think a lot, and I know for a fact, just because people I've talked to who have also been wallowing in self-pity or sadness, whatever it is, it's, number one, it is a healthy mindset to say, hey, look, this relationship is over. I need to leave it and funnel my energy into something new. The worst thing you can do is to get hung up over it or try to pursue them and get them back or force them back into your life. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So the quicker you can come to that realization saying, I will move on, I can thrive from this, excellent. That's a good first step. But I think it's really interesting that he said, look, it's not saving, just you're going to funnel that energy, those feelings into the next one that comes along. Byron, a trap that I got sucked into, mostly from Disney movies, but perhaps from rom-coms and all those kinds of things, is this idea of the one true soulmate. The one. There is...
What are you talking about? The one ring.
Exactly. In this case, the one person who is meant to be there, the one that is destined to be your soulmate, right? And we're fed this narrative pretty much our entire life, from childhood all the way up, right? And it's a romantic notion. I think it's quite a romantic thing to think that out of all the 7.5 billion people in the world, there is one person who you have always been destined to be with. It was predetermined by the cosmic stars from the moment that you were conceived.
It was a smack of the gods.
It was a smack of the gods that said, this is the person you should be with.
Yeah.
As I've learnt from myself, same thing, over time, doing the work, kind of not watching movies, but kind of learning about stuff in the real world and how it works, is with soulmates, get this, you can have more than one soulmate. Wow. You can have more than one soulmate. What I mean by this is, the reason that you and your partner or your future partner get along very well is not just one reason. It's a variety of reasons, right? Yeah. You share values, share interests, you share vibes, you get along well with some things, you don't get along well with some other things. You communicate, right? And some relationships, you make them work because you work on them, right?
Yeah.
But just because it doesn't work with this one person for whatever reason, it can work with another person. And you can make it work with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea that you have to wait just this one person, because you can make it work with lots of different people. But I think the soulmate that we refer to typically is the person who is the right kind of person for you at that period in time, at that particular location in your life.
Right person, right time.
Right person, right time. And I think that's all it is. So I don't think getting stuck or hung up on one person for the entirety of your life because it doesn't work out. It's not a romantic notion to try and fight and win them back when they want to have nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Overwhelmingly, as I said, the advice has been to, like, it can either be really harsh or not harsh in terms of completely cut them off or not. But if nothing else, it seems like men who have been through breakups want to tell other men who might go through breakups or going through a breakup that the best thing you can do is move on.
Move on.
Like, that's what it comes down to, is move on from the relationship that no longer works. It's not going to come back. No one in this thread actually has said, bro, just hold on for hope.
Never.
Just stick it out. If you're going through a breakup, man, go reinvest energy back into the person who broke up with you. Not a single man here has said that. So if you are ever, like if you're in that situation right now, or you're in a relationship, and I'll hope that you never have to break up with your current partner because you love them dearly and it's perfect.
Of course, and you want to make it work.
It's a great relationship.
You do your best to make it work, but there might come a time.
But if it happens.
It happens.
If it happens, don't. Hang on. Let it go. Let that pain fuel you towards the next adventure in your life. Go focus that energy into something productive.
Yeah.
But don't focus energy back into the relationship that has now failed. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
We've just solved breakups, Jeremy.
We solved it. It's that simple. Oh, one last little footnote, actually, mine I want to add to this too.
Yeah.
Is people will often say, oh, this relationship was a waste of time, right?
Nah.
I never want you to ever think that, for the sole reason is, what's the point of that thread? What did you learn from that relationship, right? Because the idea is, in this case, if you have a failed relationship, cool, what did you learn from it? What kind of person do you like? What kind of person do you get along with? What kind of person do you not get along with? Because as time goes on, you should be getting a bit more finite with who you decide to talk to, because you know what's going to work well for you, and you know what's not going to work well for you. So rather than have to go through this entire process of having to figure that out with a new person, by logic and learning, you should know to some degree if that's going to work out or not from a lot of their core qualities when you meet them. So
100%. There you go. That was
beautiful.
A nice, easy one to get started.
Let's take away from a relationship. Just move on. Let it go.
Yeah.
Do what Elsa says.
If you get dumped, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. On the topic of self-improvement, Byron, I've got one to raise to you. So I picked this up from a random screenshot of a green text. If anyone doesn't know what a green text is, it's people telling
Reddit.
True stories or fake stories. It's all 4chan, right? But this one caught my eye because it was along the theme of self-improvement. Now, I'm going to read out this to you. I think parts of it I agree with, parts of it I don't agree with. But that's why I kind of want to hear your opinion about it. Okay? Okay,
here we go.
So, this guy claims ugly dudes do not exist. Let me explain. This is male privilege speaking. I'm just going to say that. Say you are a solid 2 out of 10, right?
Solid.
Start working out. You can get yourself up to a 4 out of 10. If you buy new clothes, fix your style, you can go up to a 6 out of 10. You start grooming yourself correctly, improve your hygiene, might take you up to an 8 out of 10. After all that, you get your money in order, you get your passions in order, and other people will now start to see you as a 10 out of 10. It starts with you. What will you do to elevate yourself? So there are parts of this that I agree with, and parts of it, obviously, that I do not. But what are your thoughts just after hearing this, Byron?
My first thought is, what's the sales like? What's the product I'm being sold here? Where's the link? What am I clicking on? Honestly, that's kind of how I felt. But in relation to the actual content of what they're talking about, oh, Jeremy, this is... I'll see if my opinion changes as we discuss this further.
Sure.
But I do think there is a level to people. As harsh as this is going to sound, I think people do fall into different categories of, I don't even know the right, like status, maybe, not even status, but perhaps, or not even class. I'm going to sound classist or something as well. There are people who have more inherent advantages to their being than others.
I agree.
Right? And some of this comes down to like body composition. It comes down to structure of their face and, other physical attributes. Perhaps their mind is a bit sharper or less sharper than someone else. Yes, I agree. You can go to the gym and improve your overall physicality. It's a good thing to do. Is that going to make somebody more or less attracted to you? I don't know. It depends on their values. So somebody might actually find you less attractive by going to the gym. So I don't know that it necessarily is going to make you a 10 out of 10 man if you fix your... Like, style is good. It's generally socially acceptable to be well bathed and clean.
Yeah.
But there's like this intangible sort of understanding that, some people, and it's for both men and women, some people have a higher potential of choice.
I agree.
In comparison to others. So yeah, I don't know if you are at the bottom of the rung, do I think you can climb to the top of the ladder? I'd like to say yes, but I don't actually know if I believe myself. So
interesting. Yeah.
That's my first unfiltered thought.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I found this very interesting because the part I do agree with wholeheartedly is I believe every person, man, woman, anything, has the potential to improve themselves and the perception of how other people would see you dramatically. And I 100% believe in that. There are some things in that list which I'd say, yeah, this would help. I don't think it would help as much as they think it does. And I think there's some other qualities which are missing from that list, which inherently, to me, would make a person a 10 out of 10 person. But also based on what you mentioned before, for people who are born in different circumstances, they're born with different features. I think the key here is that a 10 out of 10 person doesn't look the same to other 10 out of 10 people. And that's the key. I think the key is that regardless of your background or your startings, whatever, you can improve your situation dramatically. And it's like I said, you can start at the bottom. You can be a 1 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that if you work hard enough, you can become a 10 out of 10. It's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. But if you worked hard on yourself enough, you could dramatically improve yourself from a 0 up to at least a 5 or a 6, maybe even a 7. And I think that rings true for everybody.
Yeah. Now, while we're talking about this, actually you go first, because maybe you'll touch on it. Go.
Okay. Because I was just going to touch on those individual characteristics that they kind of mentioned before, right? Some of them, like I said, I think are weighted appropriately. Some of them are given a bit too much credit. Some of them aren't even mentioned at all. That should have a lot more credit. But for things that are universal attractive qualities, I think it comes down to human nature at the end of the day. So there are some things we can't change. Facial structure, height, right? Maybe in some extreme case, someone's going to be like, you can get height surgery, blah, 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 right? So it's like, you can get facial reconstruction surgery, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can, yeah, okay. So if you want to go down that path, you can. But for the good majority of us, some of this stuff is just not accessible, right? So let's go down to the things that is universally true. And I want you to debate me here if you think I'm spouting crap. There are a lot of things that I believe are universally attractive qualities. In this case, we talk about physical health. And this is surrounding someone's, let's say, their physique. So typically someone who has got a body that they have cultivated through exercise, nutrition, diet, you would arguably say, yes, a healthy body is more attractive than an unhealthy body. Would you agree? Disagree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
And in the same way, yes, someone who dresses well, grooms well, takes care of their hygiene, knows how to present themselves. I don't think that that's going to be worth 4 or 5 points, but it's definitely worth 1 or 2 points in terms of someone who knows how to dress themselves and present themselves versus someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the money side because I don't inherently think that makes you universally attractive. It does represent some different things about you. Like, yeah, you're someone who is responsible. You're someone who is a provider, I suppose. But again, that's not going to be the most important quality to a lot of different people. But it is an attractive quality to say, yeah, I take care of myself. I can take care of other people. I think one thing that's not mentioned there, which as a social coach, I will blather on about to the end of days, is being emotional fucking intelligent, which is in this case, knowing how to hold a conversation, carry a conversation, respond appropriately to different people in different situations, knowing how to use your personality and your charisma and your inherent social skills to communicate with other people is one of, if not the most attractive quality, in my opinion, which isn't mentioned there. But again, just like everything else we've mentioned, it's a skill and it's something you can learn.
Yeah.
But those things, to me, I believe, are all universally attractive traits. And if you you can work on pretty much all of them, you could elevate the way that people perceive you quite readily.
Yeah. Well, part of why you were saying that, I had this realization because I'm I guess I'm more of a marketing side of things and social media type stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I realized maybe it comes more down to the audience that you're trying to engage with. So if we think about, like I keep thinking about the guy who's got a bit of a beer belly, he's a bit gruff around the edges, maybe he's a funny kind of guy and has a really solid job and he's just a fun-loving kind of dude. He can pull whatever he wants, maybe. If it's the other person on the other side is interested in that.
Absolutely.
But if you put me and another dude side by side, right? So I got the muscles, I got the physique or whatever, and he's got a beer belly, but everything else is the same. But the lady that we're going for is interested in, the softness, cushiness, and whatever.
Yeah.
I got no shot. It doesn't matter if I'm conventionally more attractive than he is, or
I agree.
whatever. So I started to wonder, maybe when it comes to there's no 10 out of 10s, it's less about understanding. Like, one, we need to understand our own value and what qualities we have to offer people.
That's the most
and we
important
can
thing.
do
Yes.
it. Yep, we can do to improve that. But then, like, let's say you want the fucking 10 out of 10 runway supermodel, right? There's not just one runway supermodel. There's a plethora of women that fall into that category.
Yes.
Now, generally speaking, there's going to be some qualities that they themselves also, on a whole, are interested in. Perhaps they want a guy who's a bit more ambitious because they're on the runway.
Yeah.
Perhaps they want a physically fit man because, they themselves are quite physically fit and their outward beauty is something that they've been reminded of their whole life.
Yeah.
But let's say out of 100 of them, maybe there's the one who wants the soft, cuddly man, right?
Look, I was going to use
that's
you and
who
me
you
as an
are-
example, Byron. Like, if we walked into a club together, the kind of people that would be attracted to you and the kind of people that would be attracted to me would be completely different people.
Yeah.
The people
Or it could be the same person, but they just see something different in each of us.
Exactly. I mean, there could be people out there who's attracted to both of us, or there are people out there who are attracted to neither of us. Right?
Probably that one.
It's like that's also a complete definite possibility, right?
Yeah.
So, in order to say 10 out of 10, the 10 out of 10 standard is going to be different, I think, like you said, depending on who's viewing you. I think the most important thing is to raise yourself to a standard that you're happy with, that you're proud of.
Yes. Amen.
And being proud of that and being able basically to communicate that to other people in a way that doesn't make you seem like an ass.
Preach.
That's it. That's it. So
I think we just solved this problem too, Jeremy.
solve this problem. It's like, don't give a fuck what other people think about you at the end of the day. It's, you got to be proud of yourself. And if other people like that, awesome. If they don't like that, awesome. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, this whole 10 out of 10 thing, it's a perception thing, just like beauty is a perception thing. There are some things, like I said, I would be universally more attractive, generally speaking. But at the end of the day, what our opinion of ourselves matters the most.
Maybe it also is a case of like making yourself as approachable as possible and then being able to like be in a position to be approached or to approach.
Yes.
Right? Like, because I'm really trying to go into the depths of what it means to be a 10 out of 10 here.
Yeah.
Right. And if I truly believe I'm a 2 out of 10 and I start going to the gym and I get myself a job and I put all this effort into increasing my score so that I can go play in the new field, it's like, but, yes, yes, you can improve your appearance. Yes, you can wear better clothes. Yes, you can go to the gym and lose 5 kilos, whatever. But all of that stuff doesn't matter if you're not actually engaging with anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're not able to articulate that or show that or display that in some way, maybe that's why animals have it all figured out. There's not 10 out of 10 animals, but some have better display of their feathers than others.
Sure do.
And they can peacock a little bit more.
Which is why, in my opinion, if you're going to invest in any one of these, mostly, first and foremost, improve your goddamn social skills. Stop going to the gym first and foremost. Like, I would arguably say gym is the easiest one to level up. You can fight me if you want. Social skills is arguably the hardest. No. Maybe even finances is the hardest, like where you come from. But put social skills first, because I don't care how rich you get, how fit you get, how well you can dress yourself. Unless you know how to interact with people or approach people, a lot of that is not going to matter. So start learning. That's... So I get really pumped about this because... Byron, we talked about breakups before. I went to the gym, I improved my style, me. The thing that mattered the most was being able to talk to people and communicate that value to people.
Agreed.
So
I don't have a large sample size to weigh in on here, but yes, it has helped.
Look,
to be able to talk.
Actually, I talked about this with Danny at some point in time. Are you an extrovert or introvert? What do you see yourself as?
I'm very introverted, believe it or not.
I believe that 100%. You definitely give me introvert energy, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm also an introvert, believe it or not, Byron.
But we've learned to be extroverted, right?
Well, we've learnt to be very good at being an introvert, a very good social introvert.
Social introvert.
I'll give you the spiel because I talked about this in a different podcast, but I'll give you like a very quick thing here. So you might think, holy shit, you guys are so extroverted, you can talk to people. Listen, we're introverted as fuck, okay? The difference between an introvert and an extrovert. Byron, do you know this, or do you want me to just go quickly on it?
No, please, for the viewers at home.
Okay.
Yes.
So people might think, wow, extroverts are good at talking to people. Introverts are bad at talking to people. You have been wrong your entire life, my friend. And so was I up until I learnt this. The only difference is your energy. How you gain energy, how you use energy. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay? An extrovert gains energy by talking to people. They fucking love talking to people. You know, they're the people who just wants to go around, introduce themselves, say hi, blah, blah, blah. An introvert gains energy by not being around people, by being by themselves, right? This does not have any relationship with your social skills. It's a completely different metric. You can have an extrovert who is very bad at social skills, and you can have an introvert who is very good at social skills. An example, you might think, how can extroverts be bad? Think about that weird uncle that you've got, or that weird guy at the bar who's like telling you all about themselves and all about their projects and how good they are, and you just don't want to listen to them anymore because they just keep talking about shit you don't care about.
Yeah.
You know someone like this in your life, right?
Oh, we all know them.
That's an example of an extrovert with bad social skills.
Yeah.
An introvert can be very good. Like Byron and I, we can walk up to people, we can have a conversation, we'll talk with them. If the energy is good, like between Byron and I, we can talk for hours and it's fine.
Yep.
We can keep talking. If it's bad conversation, maybe with a poor socially skilled extrovert, our energy is going to go downhill real fucking fast. Okay?
To the point where we run away home and hide under our rock for the next.
So that's our
6
social
weeks.
battery just draining like crazy. If we're with other people we get along well with, introverts can talk for ages. Extrovert social batteries doesn't run out because they just enjoy talking to people whether or not they enjoy it or not. Okay?
Yeah, it just keeps recharging.
It just keeps going. It's that energized, it's like a wind-up battery. It just keeps going the more they keep talking to people, right? So, if you are someone who's an introvert and using introversion as an excuse to be bad at social skills, you can't use it any longer. I'm sorry. You can't get better.
You've been smacked around. It's time for you to do something about it.
Yeah, by
Or
smack
you are
of the gods.
the master of your own problem. Yeah, smack of the gods will come for you. But it is something that once you become aware of, if you choose not to do anything about it, you no longer have an excuse.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I have no time. If you are aware of something and choose not to do something about it, that's on you, bro.
That is on you. I think the thing I hate the most is excuses. Like, you can give me a reason saying, oh, I didn't talk to this person because I had to call my grandma because she was dying. That's a reason. But the second you come with an excuse, oh, I was tired, oh, they looked busy, oh, I didn't have time, all excuses. Every single one's an excuse.
It's on you, bro.
It's on you. So there's no one to blame except yourself. So anyway, that's my spiel about extroversion and introversion and being a 10 out of 10 person. I think social skills is a very big part of that. So I'm not
I think
perfect.
you changed my mind a little bit on that.
I'm glad.
That's good.
I'm glad. I'm not perfect.
Because I don't want people to think that they can't, be appealing, or that if you were a 2 out of 10, you're just stuck there. There's definitely stuff that you can do. Social skills are going to make a big difference.
They make a huge difference.
I now realize that.
Yeah. So
well, lucky I'm a social butterfly.
Your butterfly helps. You can be an introverted butterfly and still do very well in your social life. So
that's right. Well, Jeremy, should we move on to the next one?
Let's go. What's question number 3 for the day, Byron? What we got?
Okay. Now, I'll let you decide. Do you want to do... So I'm going to read out too. Am I overreacting for not wanting to invite my wife's platonic male best friend to our anniversary dinner? Or am I overreacting? My girlfriend deleted my 800-hour Elden Ring save while I was at work.
Oh, God. All right. That's the one we're going to spiel on the most. We're going to do both of them. Let's start with... Let's go anniversary dinner. I think that's going to be pretty easy to solve.
I reckon so
read the
too.
story and then we'll spiel about it.
Yeah. So Am I overreacting for not wanting to invite my wife's platonic male best friend to our anniversary dinner? My wife, 29 female, has a best friend from college who's a guy, 31 male. She swears nothing ever happened between them, and I've tried to be understanding. But he has a history of making weird comments about her. Once, when we were all drinking, he said, she was the one that got away, and laughed it off when I looked at him. Oh my God.
What the fuck?
Anyway, our 5-year anniversary was last weekend. I made a reservation at a nice restaurant and got us a sitter, whatever that means. She asked if we could include her best friend. Oh, they have a kid? That's even worse.
Yep.
She asked if we could include her best friend just for dessert because he's going through a rough patch and doesn't have a lot of people, in quotations. I said no. I wanted the night to be about us. She got upset and said I was being possessive and trying to erase someone who was important to her before I ever came along. I just feel like our anniversary isn't the time to play emotional support to a dude who clearly still has feelings for her. Am I overreacting for putting my foot down? Jeremy, you know what? This sort of situation, even though it's packaged about their anniversary and stuff, I reckon this comes up in relationships between men or whoever. I was going to say women, but it can be between men and men all the damn time, because it's this last bit where it's like, I said no, and then that other person got upset and fired back saying, I'm trying to erase something or I'm being too controlling or whatever. What do you reckon, Jeremy? What do you want to say about this?
Oh, here we go. So there's a few different chapters. You've already pointed out a few of them we're going to talk about. So anyone listening in, you might think it's like, oh, don't be so insecure, blah, 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 blah. Look, there's more things at play here. Hopefully you've observed that than just the bloody anniversary dinner. Okay?
Yeah.
So ask question, am I overreacting? I believe, personally, Byron, agree or disagree? The answer is no, he's not overreacting. Your thoughts?
Yep, not overreacting at all.
Some short reasons being, so first of all, yes, an anniversary dinner is typically between you and your partner. It should be. And no one else should be involved in an anniversary dinner.
It's a commemoration of your relationship.
Yeah. Unless, for example, like, you know, maybe it's like a 30th anniversary, 20th anniversary, and you invite your family and friends and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, to celebrate the relationship.
Celebrate the relationship. If it's a relationship between you and the other person and you've agreed, hey, this is between us, we should do this the way that we do it. The problem that this lady has got with her friend is a completely separate issue and therefore should be dealt with separately. The fact that she is making a fuss out of this, to me, shows that, yeah, there's something else at play here. There's some trust issues going on, and perhaps she has a thing for this other guy in some way, shape, or form, which is a different conversation completely. Yeah. But to me, the way that she reacted more than anything else was like, oh, well, you know, if that's the case, you don't want him along to an anniversary dinner. I get that. Okay, I just want to have a chat to him separately. To me, that makes logical sense. I don't think that the guy... Well, look, the fact that she's got history with him or whatever, the guy himself is like, all right, look, I trust you, I believe you, you love me, that's how it should be. But obviously, if there's something else going to play, that should be the discussion more than anything else. It shouldn't be about this anniversary dinner. No. Those are my short points. What do you feel like, Byron?
No, my short points are something similar. And really what I want to say to people, like the fact that he even has to ask, am I overreacting to this? To me is crazy, right? If your significant other has put you in such a position that you have to sit there and question whether or not your reaction about your own relationship is warranted, right? And then tries to make you, or tries to put you on this like comparison scale of this person came before you and they are important to me in my life. It's like, well, you chose to have a relationship with me and invest 5 years of your time in this particular instance, and by the sounds of it, have a kid together. Yeah. Right? This relationship, I'm sorry, there is no negotiating on which comes first, right? And I'm going to say this to everyone real plain and simple. If you're in a relationship, it is priority number one. Like you and that other person are priority number one in that. You can put yourself slightly higher in the whole grand scale of things where it's I need to look after myself before you look after them. But the relationship, there is no, my best friend should weigh in on here. Like otherwise why bother? Yeah. It's just not, it's not fair to the other person. And if you both agree that it doesn't matter and you want to or I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. If you both agree that it's less on the scale, then sure, right? You can do that and go prioritize friendships and things over your own relationship. No worries. But I don't get that from this guy's question. And if you're in that position where you value the relationship with the other person as a major priority and they come at you with something that's less than that priority, I'd be really staring seriously into that and being like, what the hell do we have here?
Yeah.
Because clearly it's not that valuable to you.
You should be questioning that relationship more than anything else, more than whatever else is going on here, because that's a sign that they just don't treasure it as much. So, I mean, we could go through the grand hierarchical scheme of, who should be priorities or whatever, but at the end of the day, in this particular situation, it is exactly as you say. If you're married to someone, they should be your first priority, first and foremost. There's going to be...
And if you want to include the friend, then you're welcome to go get a divorce, right?
Yeah.
Go have your friend be the person that you then spend all your time with. Like, and it's not about all the time and stuff like that. If she, like this guy said, this is our moment, right? This is, and I said a commemoration of our relationship. The trials and tribulations we've been through. It's celebrating each other on this journey. Right? To then turn around, she might think it's really innocuous, but to then turn around and say, hey, can my friend who came before you and I really care about come sit in on our dinner because he has nobody? Well, how about in a private conversation, you go tell him to find someone, right? Go help him realize that he needs to stop putting all his shit on you and be a good friend. And he can go find someone to talk to instead of coming in, dumping on somebody else's relationship, man. It's not a fucking three-way. Oh,
that's a different conversation entirely if it was, but in this case...
Oh, yeah, sure. Again, and I think it's the agreed upon, I'm sorry, but maybe as humans, we do not do a good enough job at the start of discussing what this relationship actually means to the two of us and what the boundaries are and what priorities are there within it. Because Jeremy, if you and I got into a relationship together... You kind of just go along and it's like, all right, we get 6 months in, the honeymoon phase is over, we're still kind of cutesy and all that sort of shit. And, we get 2 years down the track, maybe we're now married and all that sort of stuff. And it's just sort of happened, right? But never at any point, apart from the point of getting married, which is when you're supposed to say, you are my one and only. Prior to that, we never actually say, Jeremy, you know what? I'm only going to give you my attention, right? I'm not going to... So my friends, my good friends and the platonic relationships I have, I will not prioritize them over you, right? If it comes down to choosing between this person's got a problem and you've got a problem, I'm going to pick you every time, right? Now, I would ask that you do the same. How do you feel? And you say, well, actually, Byron, my platonic relationships are pretty important. I think when it came to a situation where I need to decide and I have to make a choice, I can't honestly tell you that I'm going to say, I'm going to pick you over them. All right. Okay. Well, now we can think about this a bit more.
It's interesting because...
What does that look like?
Yeah, it's very interesting because you say that right now. And for example, say there's something going on with your family, like your mum and your dad or your siblings, etc. Right? I would assume that, they are a very important part of your life. And I would support whatever support you need to do for them to a degree, as much as I could, right? The only I think clash would happen is when there's something that overlaps, right? There's something important for me that's happening, something important for them that's happening. At that point in time, I think is probably when those conversations would pop up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or, for example, you say you wanted to make a three-way relationship or open the relationship or whatever. It's those times in which, you should have a discussion about it before you've already developed feelings or you've already developed an emotional connection with this third person, right? Yeah. Those discussions should be have as soon as those thoughts arise. I don't think it should happen only when, anniversary dinner. We need to negotiate what's more important, my friend or our relationship, because obviously this person's been in this person's life for a long time and there's obviously been crossovers at certain points. Even at the time he felt uncomfortable with that remark. Have a conversation with your partner.
I was going to say, maybe that's part of his own doing. Is he's allowed this behavior to fester and manifest over time when it sounds like he says, a history of making weird comments about her. And I've tried to let it go and I've tried to be understanding. She swears nothing has happened. So they've somewhat talked about it before. But why has there never been a clarification around what this Like, how does this ever get to a point like this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
And
it's definitely one of those, I don't know, maybe it's like, oh, I'll let that go. Oh, I shouldn't worry about it too much. Oh, I'm being too possessive or something, right? I think it's one thing to have self-respect and have confidence in yourself and a relationship, but part of that self-respect and that confidence in your relationship is to have these regular open discussions. Because if you are worried about something, if you are concerned about how you're feeling about something, you should feel very comfortable going to your partner who you trust and love to have that open discussion. If you don't feel comfortable about having any open discussion with your partner, you need to think your relationship through. Because if there's anyone you should feel comfortable having those open discussions with, it should be your partner who you trust and love the most.
Yeah. Yeah. The more we keep talking about this and dive into it, and I'm realizing my own feelings around this thing is a bit more complicated. Because, like I said, you should talk at the start and figure it out. But like you pointed out, you only really come across those situations as they arise.
As they rise, yeah.
And so it's hard to predict every outcome or possibility for when a relationship might be tested.
Yeah.
But, again, like in this situation, it's really easy for this guy to then be gaslit by his girlfriend or to be emotionally manipulated into being a controlling or feeling like he's a controlling asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, at which point does he then give in and say, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. Like, my apologies, baby. You prioritize that relationship with that man who's been there since before I came along, who has supported you all this way and had a kid with you and all this sort of stuff. And I will sit back and watch. Right?
It's really interesting. It's just a matter of value at that point in time. Because, Byron, I'll pose a personal situation that I've had somewhat similarly. And again, this is something I don't feel, the most happy about, but it's happened, right?
Yeah.
There was a point in my life, I had a partner who was not faithful, which sucked. But one kind of navigation is they kind of wanted to hang out from time to time, or they wanted to, go to a concert and they would also be there, kind of thing. And part of me, they said, it's like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable about you going to this thing. And they said, oh, well, out of respect for you, I won't go to this thing. But there was another point in time, it's like, oh, I still want to hang out with this person. And it's like, well, I suppose, you can hang out with them because I'm not going to tell you who you can or can't hang out with because I trust you. Right? So at what point in time then does it become too controlling, or does it become a matter of trust? I've come to my own conclusions about this already, but what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, my thoughts are it's going to come down to the individual.
Yes.
If you, and you talked about value before, if I value my own morals and stances on things and it's something that I feel strongly about, then I'm going to set those boundaries.
Yep.
If I probably have low self-esteem or belief in myself or don't know what I think about stuff, then I'm going to let it go and just let myself be trampled.
Yep.
But yeah, oh man, is it a cop-out to say you have to figure this out for yourself and know where you stand? Because ultimately, whatever benchmark you set is how you're going to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing at the end of the day is being able to have your own self-respect and being able to communicate that in a way that's not attacking the other person, or you can come to a mutual level of understanding from your discussions. Because it does come down to, okay, look, you do have to have trust in a relationship. That is the utmost important.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, in this case, at the start, I was like, yep, you're not hanging out with this person, blah, 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 you've done this, right? As time went on, I kind of realized, well, you could call it a cop-out, you could call it I don't respect myself enough. But I said, all right, cool, if you want to hang out with this person, then that's on you. Like, I don't like this person at all, but you make your own decisions, you choose who you want to hang out with. But that's, again, me putting trust in them.
Yep.
If, again, they were to break whatever trust happened again, then that would definitely be the final straw for me. But again, it's one of those things they say, look, I had a real close connection with this person. We get along really well. I don't have many friends, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Call me a pushover or whatever, but that was my level of, if I can't trust my partner to hang out with who they want to hang out with, they're going to hang out with them anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, look, you're telling me about it. I appreciate that. You're telling me that you want to hang out with them. Okay, cool. Just, I trust you. And that's it. So But that's
There's
my
different numbers
personal.
of straws for everybody.
That's correct. But I think the thing that
you have
can't
2
do,
straws. I have 0 straws. John has 17 straws. We all have different straws.
yeah. But again, the thing you can't do at the end of the day is say, I don't trust you with this person and you're not going to do this.
Yeah.
In this particular scenario that we talked about on Reddit, you can say, look, I trust you with this person and that's the trust I've invested in you. However, you're putting that relationship over our own, which I don't appreciate. And if that's how you value our relationship, you obviously don't value me. I'm going to walk away.
Yeah.
So there's 2 things, trust and value. I think trust always needs to be there. If the trust is not there, you're better off not being in a relationship. But the value is a different question. So
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
that was deceptively tricky when I think about it.
Yeah. Because as I said, it's actually more common than we realize, I think, when we get into relationships. And there are so many different dynamics and so many different situations and different walks of life and people interaction and all that sort of stuff that there's no one size fits all, and you can't catch it early and you can't necessarily prepare for it.
Yeah.
But knowing where you stand and what your value is, and then making the best decision for yourself off the back of that. And it goes back to what I said, I guess you place yourself at the top of the priority list here. If your partner does not respect your values, then there is no right or wrong in saying, I'm sorry, but you and I are just no longer
We're not a good
thing.
fit. Yeah.
We are not a good fit. Good luck. I appreciate the last 5 years. It's so easy to say, and then you're in it, and it's so fucking hard to follow through.
So difficult. Oh,
But
dear.
if nothing else, boys, we got your back.
We got you.
Jeremy and I have got your back, all right? We will there support your decision, whatever it is, as long as it's safe and doesn't harm anyone.
Doesn't harm anyone.
Including
That's
yourself.
a big thing. Because I think the worst thing you can do, again, is just lash out. Lash out at your partner for doing Just if it's not working, just end it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's...
It's such a scary thing for people, right?
It is.
Just
It is.
I'll say I know of a situation where there is a person who is contemplating their long-time relationship, and it's a scary thing, right? And they don't know what to do. And you're like, oh, bro, I can say what I think you should do and what my experience looks like, but ultimately, you're the only person who has to walk that and live that.
Yeah.
And no matter which way you go, there is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? It's physics. And it's the same with relationships. You choose to stay in the relationship, it's going to have this effect, and it'll have this causation, and it'll have this consequence.
Yep.
Right? You choose to end the relationship, it'll have this effect, this causation, and this consequence. Right? So there's no right and wrong. Good luck to everyone. We love you. Far out.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, relationship
Jeremy,
tricky.
should we figure out what to do if someone deletes your 800-hour Elden Ring
Let's
save file?
do it. I actually think after reflection, that'll be easier. That'll be easier. Tell us this last story, Byron. What's this last 800-hour Elden Ring save file?
Yeah, this young gentleman came home from work to find his PlayStation 5 was on and had been factory reset by his girlfriend, who got upset that he spent too much time in his 3-hour Millennia session, like trying to do something. He was near 100% completion, mind you. She had come home and factory reset it because that was her way of displaying her displeasure at the fact that he was spending too much time playing video games and not enough time with her. Now, that's a lot of hours on a video game.
That is a lot
Mind
of hours.
you, 24 and 23-year-old, like male and female respectively. So we're still early on in our days, right?
So early in our days. Look, if you're listening in, doesn't matter what gender you are, doesn't matter what background you are, it doesn't matter what relationship struggles that you've got, you don't do that. You don't do that. Okay, that's equivalent to breaking someone's car, breaking someone's arm, breaking someone's phone. You know, you have the same reactions. Like, you didn't take me out on the weekends like you promised to, and you were spending too much time on your hobby. Well, I'm going to break your legs so you can't spend any time on your hobby. That's essentially what's happened. So, like, in essence, I don't think it's a crime, unfortunately, to do something like that. But obviously, the appropriate reaction for someone who is displeased, again, it comes down to values. All comes back to values. if, number one, you have a conversation. Babe, you spend too much time on this. I would appreciate a lot because it means a lot to me. Right? Let's not do that as much. Cool. It's like, oh, yes, okay, cool. You'd hope to see some change in behavior. Right?
Yeah. Because you've got to understand it first, right?
Yeah.
You've got to understand where each party's coming from.
Exactly. Right? And say they just ignore it. So it's like, yeah, they get back to the old habits. Like, babe, remind you before. Like, there shouldn't be a number of times that you do it. Like, once should be enough, really. You might firmly be like, look, you're not spending enough time with me. I feel, neglected. And if I feel neglected, I might just leave because I can't be with someone who's going to neglect me. It should be that simple. You're not going to make them change by threatening, I'm going to erase your file. You erase your file if you don't spend time with me. It's a threat. Like, what kind of threats should exist in a relationship? None. So...
None.
You hope not? Bloody hell.
God.
So, if something is not working between you and another person, just end the relationship. You should have a conversation, try to come to some kind of middle ground of understanding where we both see where we're coming from. We both try to make changes to help the other person feel better. But if the change is not working or there is no change from one or both parties...
Don't force it.
Don't force it. Just be with someone who doesn't play as much Elden Ring if you're not into that. Some people would fucking love to spend 800 hours with their significant other playing Elden Ring.
I was going to say, and this goes back to the 2 out of 10 or 0 out of 10 discussion before.
Yeah.
It really comes down to are you finding your audience? Right now, they might have had common ground in some things, and now they've found a place where there is no common ground. And it's such a, potentially, it looks like for this couple that it is a point of like no compromise.
Yeah.
The guy loves his game, right? And you can argue whether video games are a waste of time or they're a relevant use of someone's pastime.
Yep.
Again, that's your values and you can die on that hill if you want. But the fact of the matter is, he wanted to do this thing. She wanted to do this other thing. Now, if you cannot agree on some sort of ability to do A and B or make a change so that one misses out on A and the other one misses out or whatever, then it's I'm sorry, but it's doomed.
It's a clash
if it's that important.
It's a clash of values, 100%. It's just not going to work.
And there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, well, we had such a good time for everything else, but right now in this stage of my life, this is one of the most important things to me. Good luck. Thank you for the great times. Let's go our separate ways.
That's it.
It's that.
That's it.
And because you might find the Elden Ring playing girl.
She might say, like, oh my God, you've only spent 800 hours, fucking noob. Get on my level. I'm up to 2,000. It's like, whoa, shit, okay, let's go. You will
and
find
now I'm
someone.
dominating Night Rain as well. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. So it's again, it's all down to fear, right? You know, the whole grass is greener on the other side, but we also don't know if there's any grass out there. Yeah. Like, what if we have the only patch of grass left on the planet, Jeremy? Like, because I don't know. I can't see past my patch.
That's it. Look, I think for an overwhelming majority of people, particularly if you're listening to this podcast, you have the power to listen to people like us talk on the internet, which I would assume means you've got internet connection, which I assume means you live in a pretty okay part of the world, which I would assume means you have the capability to walk and talk and have 2 eyes and 2 ears at the very least, if you're listening to this, right?
Yeah.
But if you are physically capable of doing all of these things, then yes, you can go out there and get socially skilled. You can go out there and find a different partner. If you've found one partner before, I don't doubt that you could find another partner. If you've never found a partner before, you can learn these things. So there is no, oh, I can't do it. Oh, I'm not this kind of person. Yes, you can be that person. So... yeah,
lads, it's okay. It's okay. It's just life.
It's just life. Bloody hell. Look, I think it's one of those things too. We always think, oh, wow, I am the only one in the world going through this. I am stuck in this unique position. No one would understand. You're telling me I should just break up with them? You don't understand. Brother Bear, I thought exactly the same thing going through my breakup. It's like, I've got all these things. They're going to die without me. Blah, 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 blah. They're going to be bloody fine. Okay? They will be okay. You will be okay. You can do it. Yep. And just take solace in the fact that, you're not the first human to walk this earth to go through the human struggles. So,
And if you're not in a relationship yet and you want to be, then what audience are you talking to? How are you ensuring that you are the best fit for the people that you want to interact with? All right. And that's because being in a relationship's not everything, but it is hardwired into the human brain for the most part to find companionship. Again,
yeah.
we're social creatures. And you know what? It is something that can happen when you're least expecting it, or you can happen if you're actively working for it.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, you'll be okay. You can do it. Like,
can do it.
Let me tell you right now, you can do it. You don't need to. You don't even need our permission. You just have to believe it for yourself.
You need to give yourself permission.
Amen.
That's the biggest thing. But slight little plug here. Look, if you are actually struggling with your social skills and you're like, how the hell do I get better? Send us a DM. I got you.
Yes.
And I'm sure Byron could help you as well. Like, he's a smart, socially savvy, emotionally intelligent man. Don't give yourself some credit. So yeah, if you need a hand, quite genuinely, send us a message. We can actually help. So
or jump into the Just Men podcast Patreon. You know, perhaps that's where it starts, guys. Like, we just get on in there and we start talking to other like-minded individuals, all for the cost of a cup of coffee.
Cost of a cup of Australian coffee, mind you. Like, in this economy, that's cheap as chips. So
yeah, an espresso shot, mind you.
And not even full coffee. It's just an espresso shot.
If you want milk, that's going to be another $1.50.
You get the good stuff with that extra milk. Anyway.
Yep.
Good yap, Byron. I enjoy these little Reddit sessions because there's lots of different stories and lots of different perspectives we actually have to think about, and we're not just, here's our advice, guys, do this. But it's more like, hey, this is someone's life we're talking about. So
exactly, and it reminds me that my own life is not necessarily that bad, if that makes sense. Like, as silly as that sounds, by seeing that other people go through the same stuff, like mine's not relationship related at all. I'm not going through a breakup. No one's deleting my save files. Like, I'm not necessarily worrying about improving myself to a 10 out of 10, although I always look to improve myself.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that everybody, regardless of what stage of life you're at, like, as a guy, you're not alone. We're not alone.
We're going through
and
stuff.
There's all sorts of things that we go through. And every single time, except for the people who decide that they can't bear the pain any longer, and I'm sorry that happens, every single time you wake up tomorrow, right? And you move forward if you choose to move forward. So it's a good reminder.
It's perspective. It's perspective that, like, man, I'm going through these things in my life, but dude, I quite literally never forgot this. I think I was having a bad day, just life things, right? And I see a guy on crutches walking down the street with one leg. And I'm like, today's a pretty good day for me, you know? Today's a pretty good day. I cannot forget that image. I cannot forget that image. And it's just perspective. You know, I can think about anything that's happening to me, but, like, bro, I've got two legs I can walk on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck. How
that's a
lucky
good message to end on, Jeremy. How lucky are we?
How lucky
Boys,
are we?
lads, gentlemen, men, anything in between, whatever you want to be, whoever's listening to this podcast, we love you a lot. Have the perspective that you are capable of so much.
So much.
And that you can. So just go do it.
Go do it. Just be that Nike ad. Just do it. Okay?
Yeah, just do it. Love life. Be good. That's
all right.
done.
You guys love life for another week, and then we'll talk to you again next week when we bring you another episode of whatever the heck we're talking about next. But thanks for tuning in. Love you lots. And
appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.